Welcome everyone. Welcome to August 2023's session on spiritual questions answered. And tonight we have quite an interesting topic. The topic is Roundup of Haunted Houses and Temples Field Trip. So basically 2 weeks ago, exactly 2 weeks ago, that's on 29th July 2023, I brought a group of Inheanity students for a field trip to visit haunted houses and temples. And field trip, not to say that it's for fun, all right, it's for educational purpose. And I'm inviting two of the participants here tonight. And also, I think it's the very first time on Spiritual Questions Answered with CordyKet that we have a speaker other than myself. All right, so I'd like to welcome Adrian, who's our Inheanity Module 10, I can say senior. So Adrian, can you say hi?
Hey everybody.
Yes, that's Adrian over there. And we also have John. John is a feng shui master in his own right, and he's at Inheanity Module 8. John, please say hi.
Hello everyone, good evening.
All right, good. So I'm just going to share a little of what we did, and so that everyone has an idea. So the field trip was not, just to clarify for everyone, the field trip was not a standard, like, you know, those people who go out for paranormal investigations and try to catch evidence on video. It's nothing like that. So the field trip was more for originally it's for Inheanity students. All right. And it's not for all Inheanity students, okay? It's module 6 and upwards, whereby they have trained to sense energies and everything. And the more experienced they are, the more educational it will be. Already, this meant to be educational. Can I stress this? Actually, visiting haunted houses and everything carries its risk. All right, so we are not. I see a lot of people who do paranormal stuff and they don't know what they are going in for. But here we have people who are trained, and of course, I'm leading. It was just a very small number of people, just nicely fit into one car, and then we just go. Okay, so I'm going to share with you all what we did. So basically, it was a whole day affair. It's practically 12 hours, more than 12 hours, I think, altogether. The plan was for 12 hours. So what happened is I'm going to write the itinerary. Okay, I want to get everyone straight. Okay, there will be some rules. We went to haunted houses. Some are very famous and some temples. And you will see why we went to some temples. The key thing is here, we are not going to name the names of temples. And even if you ask, we are not going to say any names about the temples that we visited. All right, can we get a clear understanding? Because I'm not here to, we don't want to. It's a very sensitive matter when it comes to temples. With haunted places, everybody kind of expects things. Okay, so no names. I'm going to put down here in red. No names of temples will be revealed. All right, this is a clear thing. So even if you are asked, we are not going to say. Okay, so I'm just going to share with you all the itinerary. So basically, the affair was meant to be from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. All right, and what we did is for the first hour, 1 hour, everyone is supposed to gather at my place, and we need to do preparation. So we need energy preparation. So this energy preparation is to make sure everyone is properly protected in terms of energies, and when they go out, it will be very safe. All right, and the people who went with me are people who are trained. That's why I made the point they are Inheanity students, module 6 and above. Then only they get to follow us. Okay, we had a 1 hour energy preparation. I make sure everyone is strong in light and of high vibration. So the energy preparation, I would like to point this out. First thing is strong in light energy. second thing is high vibrations. All right. There's a reason why I mentioned. Okay. Later you all will get to hear from Adrian and John. Okay. So the itinerary was this. So first of all, we went to temple number 1. So I call temple 1. And after temple 1, maybe I'll make it more clear. Okay, I'll put Buddhist temple 1. Then we went to Buddhist temple 2. From Buddhist temple 2, we went to a church. And after church, we had lunch. And after that, we went to number 4. So Buddhist temple 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You forgot the one haunted house and the other Hindu
Oh,
temple.
yeah. One haunted house and what?
Hindu temple up on the hill.
Oh, yes. Adrian took notes. Yeah. So let me see. So we went this one, then
5 minutes
haunted
before.
house. Haunted house 1, right?
Yeah.
After haunted house 1, then Hindu temple 1. So haunted house 1, we can. So for those of you who are in Malaysia, you all might have heard. This is the Bukit Gasing one. All right. So there's a Bukit Gasing. Bukit Gasing, famous haunted house there. After the Hindu temple, then we had lunch, right? And then we went to Buddhist temple 4. So BT, Buddhist temple 1, 2, 3. This is Buddhist temple 3. After Buddhist temple 3, we have quite a number of places. Taoist temple, Taoist temple 1, and then we have haunted house 2. So haunted house 2 is the famous Highland Towers. Those of you who know in Malaysia, will say a little bit about that. Highland Towers. After Highland Towers, we went to visit haunted house 3 and haunted house 4. And these two are in the Richmond area in Kuala Lumpur, right? Richmond area where there's a lot of mansions, but there's one stretch. This is not famous at all, but it was very haunted. As those who went with me, they'll know it's not famous at all, but I know this place. And after this was the last one will be number 11. Will be Hindu temple 2. So I'm going to ask John and Adrian to share. I think we don't have enough time to go through everything. All right. Evan is saying 5 places before lunch. Yeah, I kind of find a concentration at a place from between my home, right, on the way. I plan out the route. So it was like I say, it's practically 12 hours. We had 12 plus hours, right? And so 12 plus hours. And it's basically in KL, Selangor area, not just KL's city, but we went quite far, right? and average how long each place. Some are quite short, alright, some are longer. Haunted. So Adrian mentioned there's island towers, and so actually there's 12. So actually there's Highland Towers, Haunted House 2, and there's the Haunted House 3 is the one next to Highland Towers. I actually group them as one. You can say that they are separate. And after that is Haunted House 4, Haunted House 5, and this is at the same area. So these two are same area. So this is some rich man area, okay. Rich area. And the last one, so the 12th place is Hindu temple. So Hindu temple number 2. Okay, so the first two were Buddhist temples, and I think their energies were pretty similar. So just to share with you how we did this. So the whole idea of this is we prepare everyone to have strong light energies and high vibration so that it'll be safer. And when we go to a place whereby the energies are not of light, it's easier to sense. All right. So this is to let you all know why we do the way that we do. And for most of the places that we went to, this is a this is something to do for educational and training purpose. All right. So I let you all know the way I train people, and for training. So basically, what I did is I will park the car somewhere, not too close, and we will get down the car and we will walk towards where we want to go. And the idea is to pay attention to our energy and the environment. So Adrian and John are trained, and in fact Adrian is more trained because Adrian is at module 10. So basically anyone who's reached module 9 of Inheanity will get to follow me on cases. So Adrian is more sensitive and has much more training. All right. So John, although module 8 sounds like it's very close, but the amount of training once a person reaches module 9 is significantly different, because when you reach module 9 you get to come with me to do cases. So maybe I can get John to share in general, because these two Buddhist temples were more or less similar, right? Maybe start with John first.
Okay, thank you very much for having me. Okay, let me share my experience. I find it like very exciting because I really appreciate the opportunity to go out and do the practical sensing after learning so much in Inheanity. So somehow, okay, like when I went to the Buddhist temple, I have this sensation I don't want to step in. It's like it's not making me comfortable. I mean, of course, like whenever we talk about like temple, it should be a place which is safe, which is nice. But there are those temple which it just like repel me. And it's not just only when I study Inheanity, because before that I also have that sensation when I go to certain other temples, but I didn't know why. But once I learned the module 6, energy reading, energy sensing.
That's module 5.
Oh, module 5, sorry. Yeah, so module 5, then I am able to do some checking. To me, personally, I realize like sometimes certain temples, it feels very heavy, heavy with the energy of attachment. And the thing, is that I observe that sometimes you have a lot of people going to the temple praying for wealth. Yeah, wanting wealth, praying for wealth. So, in some ways, I I feel a sense of entrapment. I want to use the word there, entrapment. It's like people every time have to go back, and then okay, they have to give something in order to obtain something from whatever it is in the temple. And it's not making the persons being empowered. So it came to me that now, like whenever I visit any temple, I always ask myself, okay, is this environment, is it an empowering environment, or does it has any element of entrapment? Yeah. So that's my feeling in terms of temple 1. Temple 2 is quite interesting because temple 2 is very wide. They got a lot of different sections, and each section itself it seems to be segregated. Just get like the feeling, the degree, whether the heaviness or the lightness, or even like sometimes got different kind of sensations like friction, frictions, or certain energy that pulling us down, yeah, or maybe that surge through us, yeah. So I can also feel whenever I step out into the different parts of the temple. So that's okay what I can share about this too at the moment, unless you want to ask me more questions. I'm not sure whether the audience want to ask me anything.
All right. If they want to ask, they can type the questions. If you want to address to John directly, please do so. Meanwhile, we have Adrian share. These first two temples, they're quite similar in profile and energy, and yeah. Adrian.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say that even though I've had the opportunity since November last year to go with Ket on cases, and initially he had said that there was nothing for me to really be worried about during this trip. It was still very eye-opening in a lot of ways, just because of the number of different contexts that we could place what we've learned against, is how I would put it. So even you can see we covered a dozen locations throughout the day. And even from the first location to the last location, I felt like my learning was just accelerated just because of the wealth of different contexts in which we could, in which I felt that I could apply everything that I've learned so far. So, the first temple, we got out of the car, we exited, we walked towards the temple, and Ken only just said, observe how you feel, and it wasn't anything different from what I felt before. You could feel on your chakras, on my chakras, I could get a certain amount of information. And once we were observing the monk doing some rituals for some people, he instructed us to observe the people and what was being done. Initially, I was paying a lot more attention to human energies rather than spiritual energies, because for me, my entire life, I pretty much gone my entire life without realizing that I was energy sensitive. I just knew that I was very, very sensitive to emotions, other people's emotions, their thoughts, things like that. So I tend to gravitate, I tend to lock on to what people are thinking, what people are feeling. So I get a lot of information that way. So I feel like John, I can feel a lot of desire, from people who are at the temples, people asking for stuff. I could feel greed, I could even feel lust, things like that. I would say a major difference between Temple 1 and Temple 2, maybe as John alluded, was just the scale of it in Temple 2. And it was quite obvious, it was quite obvious that the energies were pretty low dimensional stuff. And I guess I won't really go into next, but then there was a direct comparison with venue 3.
Yes. All right. So I'll just summarize. Actually, the Buddhist temples 1 and 2, their energies were not too good. All right, were not too good, and I'll just be a bit direct here. That um, you go to Buddhist temple does not necessarily, when you pray, you do not necessarily mean that you are praying to Buddha or praying to a divine deity. So it's not something that many people know. And if you're actually energy sensitive, you will know which temples have good energies and which temple don't. All right, and I brought them there because I know that the energies there were not too good, and I expected them to be people who are trained to be able to differentiate, and they did. All right, so actually the energies are not too good, um, and they're pretty strong. They're pretty strong in terms of dark energies, right? And what was very interesting is venue 3. All right, so venue 3 is not far, is practically next to Buddhist temple 2. All right, there's a church right next to Buddhist temple 2, and so we walked from Buddhist temple 2 to church, and there's only one church. All right, it was a Saturday. The church was not exactly open. There was no service, but we walked to the church. All right, and maybe get John to share first how was his experience. We had to walk to the church, and then we walked back to our car, which was nearer to Buddhist temple too. Maybe John can share first.
I would say, okay, for the church, I don't really get much ominous feeling. It's like somehow here, when I went over there, I felt there's a shift of energy. It's much more calmer, but then I may also be a little bit sensitive to the people's energy there, and I can still sense a certain attachment within the area, but it's not as, I would say, worse as the Buddhist temple. Because I think the Buddhist temple is like a lot of people are praying for wealth, praying for this like fame like that. Yeah. So that's where I was, in a manner of speaking. I remember at one time the Buddhist temple number 2, there's an area I don't want to go in because I feel I want to vomit. I feel nauseated. Yeah, so that's where I just stay outside, and then Adrian and another of our Inheanity student also like went in lah. Yeah.
All
So
right.
that's my experience.
Okay, thank you, John. Adrian, maybe you can share, this experience over here. You muted yourself, Adrian.
Sorry about that. I just want to say that the main thing was the contrast. Like John said, there were still human energies of desire. I kind of chalk it up to people just praying for stuff, praying for favors, praying whatever, that kind of thing. But if you want to talk about energies of light or energies of dark, it literally was clear. It was like night and day. And as we walked back towards the car, there's a definite boundary between the church's energies and the temple's energies. And it was like, boom, it's like you hit it, it's like so obvious. And it's just the vibrations. It's how I would say it. You could feel the vibrations in the air. It's thick. Like when you hit the boundary, it was clear. And I remember Ken and I were walking side by side. We both felt it at the same time. We both, exclaimed at the same time, like, oh, here we go. This is it.
Right. So, I think John couldn't really sense the boundary. I think maybe John does not have that much training as Adrian. Right. So just to be clear, this is sensitive, that's why I say I'm not going to name any names for our temples. These two temples, the energies were dark, all right? Were dark. And this church was next to a Buddhist temple. And when we walked from Buddhist temple to the church, and in fact, before we even exit, so we were walking on the roadside. So if you imagine this is like the roadside, all right, this is like, so the buildings are here, the church building is here, the Buddhist temple is here, and my car is kind of parked over here, all right, so the road is here, and we were walking from this pavement to the church, all right, from this pavement to the church, and let's say the boundary between the church and the Buddhist temple is here, all right, boundary between church and Buddhist temple is here. The energy boundary, what was very interesting I found was I think Adrian and I found the energy boundary was somewhere around here. So this is the church with the building and everything, and the energy emanating from the church, which is of light, all right, which is quite like Adrian says, it's very clear when you're prepared, all right, when you prepare and you're trained, you can tell the church is of light, and the energies on the Buddhist temple too, it was very dark and dense. And as you walk through, you literally walk through a boundary. You feel as if you walk through a force field. But I don't think anyone has ever walked through a force field, but we kind of have an idea what a force field is. All right. So you kind of feel like, you know, if you're walking, and there's dense energies, and suddenly you come across a boundary, and as you walk, right, you hit the boundary. So this part here, this behind is all dense. As you go in, it's all light, and you can do this thing. You can walk back and forth across the boundary, and you can clearly feel the difference. There is a distinct like line, there's a boundary there, and that was very interesting, I think, for Adrian. But of course, it's not the first time I've done this expedition for Inheanity students. All right. So, and Coral was asking, right, the vibrations, and Adrian just answered Coral that is exactly like what I said. So the dark energies always feel heavy and dense, and when we move over to the church, which is of light, you clearly could feel the difference. And I think this was a very good contrast kind of a principle. All right. I want to make a caveat here. I'm not saying Buddhist temples are dark. It's just that the temples I brought them to is like that. Okay, please don't make a generalization. Okay, so I'm just for this. Okay, we're not going to name names here. And then after that, we went to a famous haunted house at Bukit Gasing. Elise asked, does it mean church temperature much higher than Buddhist temple too? No. They are on the same road. The temperature, everything feels, but the church feels light. It feels, the energy feels much better. If you're energy sensitive and if you're trained, so in Inheanity, we train people to differentiate energies of light and dark and deception energies and so on and so forth. All right, so it's not a straightforward thing. So like I said at the beginning, this is not a fun-filled trip to bring people who are inexperienced, because people who are inexperienced, they will not be able to feel. They will not experience so many things. All right, and even John was not sensitive enough to pick up the boundary, but Adrian could pick it up, and of course I could pick it up. And John said, I felt sharp and chaotic sensation at the Buddhist temple. When I walked to the church, it is much calmer. All right, so we want to sense the energies, invisible energies. And after that, we went to this famous Bukit Gasing haunted home. So if you go and Google haunted houses in Malaysia, it's one of those that always pop up on the list. All right, the area is Bukit Gasing. We couldn't enter the home. All right, the thing is we couldn't enter the home. And I'll just brush through this, just let everyone know. You're going to enter the home. It's very famous. And I just, for people who are trained, we are trained to feel the energies, project our energies to feel further. All right. And even though this is famous, maybe I can just get John and Adrian to share what was your experience. This was the first one. Very famous.
I felt like the first haunted home, right?
Yeah.
There's just a sense of sadness. But if later on we compare to the other two, right? The other two is heavier. So even though sometimes we see like popular haunted places, it may not be to my to my feeling and experience, it may not be so severe, I would say, as compared sometimes to other places. Yeah.
Yes, that's my point. So that's why I brought people to famous places and not so famous. Adrian, you have anything to add for Haunted House 1?
Yeah, like John, I really didn't feel that much. All I could feel really was a pretty profound sense of sorrow. It was just sorrow. I At that time I did not really know if those were human energies that I was feeling, or if it was, spiritual energies. I would say that it was very interesting because not all of the other haunted houses have the same feeling. Like I mentioned earlier, I pick up with human energies pretty easily, like emotions and stuff like that. So one of the haunted houses actually had really good human energies. I don't mean good as in divine. I meant the people who lived there were very happy. They lived a happy life there, and it was clear. Even though the place was dilapidated, it was run down. It was it was an abandoned house. It was all like graffitied and everything, but there were spiritual energies. You could feel the ghosts. Visuals.
Yeah, we'll save that for the Haunted House later.
Yeah. Okay. We'll save that. I
Yeah.
just want to point out the contrast, and it's interesting because they're not all the same that way.
All right. So Haunted House 1 is very famous, but actually the level of ghost activity is actually very, very mild. All right. And then we went to Hindu Temple 1. Hindu Temple 1 is a bit tricky because we went there in daytime. I went there because it's near this area, and because it's daytime, afternoon is Hindu temples only open in the morning and evening. All right, so it wasn't open, and everything we had to sense was a bit from afar. So I think I shall just skip this one. And there was also there were also some phone towers there, so not easy to differentiate the energies here. So I'll just skip this one.
But I
And
think I just want to add, like when you brought us there, you also have us to sense the sensation of the EMF, from the whatever. I think it's not phone tower, it's pylon. It means the pylon. And how on this we should differentiate between this energy and whatever the spiritual so-called spiritual energy.
all right, I forget that.
Yeah.
I was trying to make a point, yeah. And I think Adrian could sense that too. I was making a point about that there because there was EMF. In case you all don't know, EMF is electromagnetic energies. Because was it a high tension cable or
No, it looked like some kind of transmission tower of some sort.
transmission tower, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was obvious. I mean, when you instructed us to tune in one or the other, then it became very clear, the different types of energies.
Yes. So yeah. So there's also a point to be made here, which I forgot, but these two guys didn't. I brought them there also to help them differentiate between spiritual energies and earthly energies, electromagnetic energies from human technology. And if one of the training that we do in Inheanity is you must be able to I call it like you must know which spectrum of energy to focus on or tune in and tune out to. So if you don't train that, like Adrian says, Adrian and John, they're pretty sensitive to human energies, human emotional energies. And if you're not able to train your energy senses to focus on what you want to search and find, it can all get very confusing. And at this area, it is made more confusing because of, I think, the telephone transmission towers, which was very near and it was very strong. So if you're not able to manage your energies and senses well, your readings, your energy senses will go all over the place, right? And after that, we had lunch, nice banana. Those who know banana leaf, Indian rice lunch, and we went to Buddhist temple 3. So um, Buddhist temple 3 Buddhist Temple 3 is a little bit special. When I brought them there, okay, maybe I let them share how I don't fill in the stuff first. Maybe John, you go first. Buddhist Temple 3. You remember which one, right?
Yeah. Okay. So Buddhist Temple 3 actually is a very large area. And you bring us, I think, okay, 3 places. Okay, one is like the outside, then another like inside one hall, and then okay, you have another hall, okay, that we go in. And each of these places also we sense different things. Personally, okay, like as we go through, like let's say okay, the first place, I do feel a sense of, I mean, okay, uneasiness on me. But then you teach us, okay, to chant the mantra of the particular Buddhist, in order, okay, to see whether does it align or not. Because when it does not align, there will often, okay, be certain pressure, certain frictions or what so. And I can actually feel that. Then when we go in, okay, to the hall, there's this sense of like energy being sucked. Yeah, being, I mean, okay, sucked in like a vortex. I mean, okay, like sucking in the energy. Then okay, the third hall, it felt to me kind of void, very empty. But the emptiness is not okay the divine kind of emptiness, but it's like very dark. I feel a sense of like, I don't know, like the sorrow, like I mean it's a very low vibration kind of energy. Yeah. So that's my experience in that particular temple.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, Buddhist temple. Yeah.
Adrian?
Yeah, this temple was a little bit interesting because of there were, like John said, there were 3 separate halls that we visited, and it was this huge place on this sprawling like ground. So as we turned in to go and park, I mean, initially I sensed what I interpreted as positive energies, right? Then as we got out of the car and walked towards it, I could feel my fingertips tingling, and it was kind of strange. And then Ket mentioned it, and he told me to pay attention to it. I don't really recall exactly what the reason was for that sensation, but anyway, just the difference between each hall was pretty interesting. Like with the second hall, I mean, I concur with John. Like when I chanted, the Namo Amitofu mantra, the energies were just stuck into like what felt like to me like a black hole, like it was just sucked in. I experienced that once before with a street vendor who whose food was, I mean, whose business was black magic, and I definitely experienced that before. So to me, that was pretty clear. That sensation was pretty clear. And then the third hall, it was just obvious that there was friction whenever we chanted the mantras. It was just, it didn't jive, it was just like, it was just friction. So pretty interesting. I mean, there was more that went on there, but I guess some of it flew over my head, just some time stuff, maybe I'll let Ket talk about that.
All right.
Yeah, I just want to add on a few more things. Because from that particular visit, we just want to be mindful of that sometimes whatever that looks very good, because the second hall looks very beautiful, very sophisticated. And I think, okay, this is the place that where most of the activity is, most people will pray. And Kat, you also explain, I mean, this can be the locations where certain things, you know, higher energy beings, they'll place something, okay, to harvest, okay, our energy. Yeah. So this is, I think this is the reason why we may be feeling our energy getting sucked. And the other thing that I would want to also highlight is that Kat, previously you have visited the place before, I think 5 or 6 months, and you feel that in the hall 3 is actually very good, very divine. But when we came back for the visit, something may have happened because the whole and the entire energy is not what you initially expect. And you taught us to go out and feel the residue energy. And you also have us to practice our energy reading, where we focus on the specific time. We go back, okay, to the time and feel at the energy at that moment. And it is really different because at that time, okay, it really feel calm, it feel good, it feel very comfortable. But of course, then when we compare to the time we visit, is such a contrast. And it fascinates me because wow, like now I can like do time traveling energy reading. Because last time I do not know how to practice it. I didn't have a purpose. But then from there, I can really feel the difference. If we really can go back, okay, to certain time, but we have to have in mind which particular period. Yeah, so this is something I would like to bring up.
Yes. So there's quite a lot of quite a lot of learning at this Buddhist temple. So so with each place, I add on a little bit for the people who were on the field trip to do something new, to practice something new. And at this Buddhist temple, one of the things we did was I point out that if this is a Buddhist temple and they are supposed to pray to certain divine like Amitabha and Shakyamuni Buddha, we can use the mantra of Amitabha and Shakyamuni Buddha to check on the energies of the temple and of the idols that people are praying to. So basically, this is one of the ways we can use energy reading and use reference. We can reference the mantra energies, and for those who are sensitive and they're trained, you can tell that, first of all, you all can tell that the mantra energies are pure in the first place, right? So Adrian and John can tell that the mantra energies are pure and of light in the first place. And when we go to the temple, we chant the mantra and feel the energies of the environment and of the idols, how it interacts with the mantra energies. And this is one of the ways that we use to for Inheanity practitioners to know whether if, let's say, if you see Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha in front of you, how do you know whether it is Shakyamuni Buddha? Because entities, they can shape shift, they can change form, they can appear whatever form they want. So one of the very simple method is you chant the Shakyamuni Buddha mantra and you feel the so-called Shakyamuni Buddha that you may be seeing, is the energy and the mantra energy match very closely. And this is what they were taught to put into practice at this temple, and they can tell that basically things don't match. And there was one hall whereby, because so basically this place is also tainted, all right. There are also some sinister beings there, and they're taking advantage of people who pray. So hall number 2 is a kind of like the main prayer hall. It's very done up very nicely, and people were praying there. It's used for prayers, and some entities were there to put they were sucking the energy of people who pray. So when people pray, they're giving out their energies and they're just taking in the energy. So in the energy world, there are kind of things like this that happen. And there's hall number 3. So hall number 3, the last time I visited was about I think end of January. Visited this place during around Chinese New Year period, and at the time I went with Cordelia, my family, right, and there were different halls, and we could clearly feel hall number 3 had very nice energies, and it was Chinese New Year, was very packed, and when we walked from far away to the temple, we could we could follow the trail of good energies to hall number 3, and my idea of bringing them to this Buddhist temple was to, hopefully they can sense that wonderful divine energy. But this time when we went there, the divine energy is gone. It's replaced by something not so good. And then we put into practice what we learned in energy reading, how to read the energy of the past of a place or a person, and that is learned in energy module 7, right? Energy module 7, Inheanity module 7, or energy reading module 2. So they read, and I gave them a time, right? Because I took a picture of I captured hall number 3, the Buddha and everything, and the energies were good. But I had the date, so I had them go back to the date, and they could sense the energies were much better there, like back then. All right, and let's see, some people ask questions. I mean, ask how long will negative energy be on Earth? Is it, say, Japanese occupation, World War II, haunted property, negative energy will be lesser in intensity compared to happened incident? So for every question, it depends. Whatever is happening, it can depends on what happened. I mean, World War II. If we talk about, Nagasaki and Hiroshima, I think the human energies and devastation from the atomic bomb is something really very tough. I've never been there, but I can imagine. Like World War II, like in Nanjing, those of you know Nanjing in China, there was massacre I think 1937. The Japanese massacred the Chinese in Nanjing, and I wasn't there myself, but Cordelia shared with me that she went on a China trip. I think they took a bus or a train that passed Nanjing. They didn't even stop there, and Cordelia is very sensitive, and she could feel that it was terrible energy, the suffering from that Nanjing massacre. So it really depends on the degree of suffering. As for the entities, ghosts, they can stay there as long as if nobody send the ghosts off to light, they stay there. They can stay there forever. It depends on many things. All right. And Abby is asking, go back in time means time travel energy reading. So actually, it's not really time travel energy reading. It's the energy of the past is captured in the place or the item or a place. But you need to train your energy reading to for example, let's say people, you want to read the person, let's say I'm 47 this year, right? I'm 47 this year. But if you just read my energy like this, you're reading my energy right now. And to do, but can you read my energy when I was 10 years old? You can. But you need to train, and you need to know how to do it. That's just it. So similarly, we were at that place, and we put into practice what we learned, and we read back into the time, right? I think 5-6 months ago, and the energy was much better. That's what we did. So, Evan, again, in Buddhist temple 3, is it the divine god of the temple can sense the sinister activity and can kick out the sinister? So in Buddhist temple 3, earlier this year, Chinese New Year, when it was still good, what I could sense was there was really Shakyamuni Buddha's presence there, and he was holding space, and he didn't allow any sinister entities to get in there, all right, for hall number 3 and the surrounding areas. And even when we walk out the grounds outside hall number 3, there's still some influence, some residual energies of these positive divine energies. But this time when we went there, it's all dissipated, it's all gone away. All right, so this was Buddhist temple 3. And after that, we visited Taoist temple 1. There's only one Taoist temple we visited, which is quite nearby. And yeah, I'm not sure. Okay, maybe John, you can share Taoist temple 1.
Oh, for Taoist temple 1, I didn't feel much because I was in a way busy trying to register whatever that I have experienced in the Buddhist temple tree.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Taoist Temple one a bit more challenging. Adrian, what do you learn from Taoist Temple one?
Um, it, it, it was a lot more subtle. Um, it wasn't low dimensional energy, it was high dimensional energy that was not divine. So it was a lot more subtle, but it was only when I checked my connections that I realized that, I was cut off.
Yes.
That was pretty much it.
Yes. So basically, one of the things that we can tell whether a place is good. This again, but this is more for Inheanity trained people. Once you reach module 5 and above, you learn to check whether you're connected to light. Whether you're connected to light properly, and at temples whereby it's divine, your connection to light actually will be strengthened. But places whereby it's not divine, the connection to light or to heaven will be weakened. So that's what. So Cora is asking, what do you mean by cut off? So that we are all supposed to have a connection to light, connection to heaven, kind of thing. You will learn it in module 5. All right. So Cora is also on Inheanity program. So but this is just to share with you all some of the, these are some of the things that we learn and we're putting into practice. But for other people who, well, you just take it that there are some things like that. For those of people who are interested, they need to train, and there are things like that we look out for: connection to light, connection, and if it's a place that's not of light, the connection to light can be disconnected or can be cut off. So I think the next one is actually quite interesting. So the next one is Highland Towers. For those people who don't know, so Highland Towers is one of the top. Again, if you search for famous haunted places in Malaysia, it always appears. So Highland Towers have a history whereby these are two high-rise building area, and there was landslide and people died. All right, and people abandoned the high-rise buildings. All right, and so it's very famous. And actually is closed off to public. You cannot actually go in, but you can come very close and you can see, and it's all overgrown with trees, and it's really spooky. All right, and next to it is a house. It's a house that you can actually walk inside. So this was probably the haunted house next to it was a little bit more interesting. And so I'm just going to share with you all what roughly what we did. Okay, so now so here our preparation is we needed to be strong in light energy so that our aura is strong and protect us. And I got everyone to reach very high vibrations. And we're going to test out some of these principles. What does it mean by high vibration and everything? So the first thing that we couldn't go to Highland Towers first, the first haunted house. So we actually went to haunted house 3 first, all right? And we walk around. So now I brought them and led them, and initially I think everyone didn't feel much, and I had to explain. All right, we were literally inside a very haunted house, and everybody couldn't sense much. And I explained, look, guys, you are not feeling anything because we are at very high vibrations. So what I told them was, okay, now we're going to experience what it's like to be amongst ghosts. And I told everyone, okay, guys, lower your vibrations, lower all the way to the vibrations of the ghosts. All right, and here, okay, I'll invite John to share his experience first. Maybe, from before you lower to after you lower your vibrations.
Like as you said, like when we enter into the look at this like haunted house number 3, number 3, I didn't really feel much, although okay the environment seems to be like very spooky, like very rundown, and as you said, okay, we play around with in this case our energy, and you also mentioned okay how when we raise our vibration, actually this spirits or this ghosts cannot detect us. It's like we are invisible to them. Yeah. And then one of the thing is very interesting because before we go off, you have Adrian and to work on cleansing the space, yeah, and later on you have us to lower down our vibration and then try to see the contrast whether is there any different. And at that part, yeah, I do, because like the first time before Adrian cleanse, I can see yeah, there are things there, but I'm not sensitive enough to know how many lah at the moment. But I can feel there are things there, and then after Adrian cleanse, it feels the place is lighter. Yeah, so that's my experience.
All right, Adrian.
Yeah, so I mean, visually the house, you know, I mean, it was an abandoned house. It looked like crap, but I have enough experience with Ket going to different places to know that appearances don't mean anything. You know, you could have like a really gorgeous, expensive house that is like really, really filled with entities, and you could have like a really rundown place that is fine. But we went in there, and I mean, I could feel that there were definitely entities in there, but it wasn't until I lowered my vibrations down to the level that was, off the place, that they became a lot clearer. I mean, I've had this experience before, like I mentioned to Kat, in the past, like several years ago when I was watching TV and I felt they just came in through the wall, from the abandoned house next door. And it was that sensation. It's weird because I'm not seeing them with my physical eyes, but I can make out sort of like shapes in front of me, just like. And the thing is, once I lowered my vibrations, my frequency down to match theirs, they became aware of me. So they just kind of flanked me, and they just kind of gawked at me. And then I raised my frequency, and then they didn't know I was there anymore.
Right. So I mentioned this in a previous video whereby I did previous relation questions answer. I talked about how to raise our vibrations, and if you want to know how to raise your vibrations, you all can watch the video, but I'll just give a brief explanation how it's done. The main illustration point we do this lowering and raising vibrations is, we always talk about people always talk about what is low vibration, what is high vibration. And basically, if you're of high vibration, ghosts and most of the entities, evil spirits, most of them are of low vibrations. All right, generally, and if they're of low vibrations, they're of kind of like low dimension. And if you're of high vibration, right? So the ghosts are here, and if you're of high vibration, you can be in the same place, and they literally don't know that you are there. And that's why I got everyone to prepare and raise everyone's vibrations before we go, and it's to keep them safe. And the idea is, so everyone is kind of high vibration, the ghosts are at low vibration, and I told everyone to lower your vibration. All right, Cora is asking, can you guys explain lowering vibration? So basically, the technique is taught in Inheanity Module 1, all right? It's taught in Inheanity Module 1. So lower vibrations, and then when you lower vibrations, you can be more aware of the spirits, right? We can be more aware of the spirits, and immediately the spirits will be aware of you. But you were already there. We were already there at high vibration. Our body is there, but they cannot sense us if we are at high vibrations. So we lower down, and then they could sense, and like Adrian said, they could sense them like gawking and staring at him, and like not friendly. And what I did, because Adrian has been with me has been following me to cases, so he can handle this. There were quite a huge number of ghosts, and so I just also to let John see, for those see our senior Adrian in action. So yeah, it's a piece of cake for Adrian, and Adrian just did what he needed to do to send off the ghost to light, and after that, we sense the energies, and the sensation is totally different. You can feel that there are no more presence. the ghosts were all gone. All right, and so that was what we did at haunted house number 3. Then only we do so-called haunted house number 2. So haunted house number 2 is a little bit further. We cannot go in because it's barred and gated kind of thing. But what happened was John and Adrian, I told them so Adrian did the cleansing, removal of the ghosts and everything at haunted house number 3. So haunted house number 2 are the Highland Towers itself, and there were lots of ghosts there. And I told them to sense the paranormal, the ghost activity in the Highland Towers, and I did the cleansing for the Highland Towers entire blocks. All right, I did the cleansing of the entire blocks, and I asked them to sense, and maybe John can share how it was.
I felt okay that when you cleanse it, it's just like we're very similar to what Adrian has done. Initially, I mean, the interesting part is whereby I get to exercise how I can project myself to that particular tower. Because in one part of our Inheanity learning, I cannot remember which module is it, is whereby even though we are at far away distance, we can project our energy in a particular place, and then from there we can try to sense the environment around. But also during that process, we need to be conscious to protect our energy body as we project it out, because we don't want to have it get hijacked by anything. So, and then after you cleanse it, then you have us to sense it again. Then it's also like a different feeling, and this is like a feel on this that is clear. But I did ask you, like, because once this is cleansed, then would the Highland Tower will still stay the same, being clean, no more entity? But yet I you explain things will always come by because it's an abandoned place, there's no caretaker. So so I was wondering, whether like can we cleanse it one time and then the place to be clear throughout or not? And this is something I didn't ask during the excursion.
Oh, what question again?
Okay, the question is that when let's say you cleanse a place, can it be permanently cleansed or not? What? No more entity that can come by anymore. Would that be possible?
No, it doesn't work. You can remove, but to prevent things from coming in, you need to protect the place. Yeah, so it's not, and I'm not going to protect the place, send them off to light.
Okay.
Yes. Adrian, you want to share how it was at the Highland Towers?
What was most interesting about that experience was that when Ket was sending him off the light, I could literally feel like a multitude of souls just passing through, just like it was just, I don't know how to describe it, but it was just, I could feel it in my body. It was like just a multitude of souls just rushing past. That's what I thought, and that was something new for me. I never experienced that before. So, and it wasn't anything that I was, it wasn't anything that was suggested to me to look out for. It was just something that I experienced.
Right. So, because that is, you must imagine it's like, I think it was like 2 blocks of buildings, 2 or 3 blocks of buildings. Because you can imagine like a condominium, and there'll be hundreds of units, and I cleared all at one go. So there's a huge number of ghosts there, and I sent all of them to light at one go. So that's why Adrian was feeling like a rush of ghosts being sent to light, and he made some sound effect. I don't know how. All right, so basically it can be done, and Evan was asking a question. Is there a reason why we did 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.? We can even go to midnight, and it's not going to make a difference. We will still be protected, but this is more a matter of convenience. Both John and Adrian have their other half to return to. I don't want to keep them away for too long. I have a family to return to. Even midnight is not a problem. I'm not avoiding any time too late, but it's more a matter of convenience. But I wanted to make sure it goes into the night because of Hindu temple, right? It's open at in the evenings, and also I also wanted them to experience something towards the darker side, right? Whereby it's like night, not like full daylight, because some people will think that, oh, full daylight the ghost activity is not strong. Actually, it's not true. All these places, that we went in broad daylight, and the dark activity were pretty strong. Okay, so this was Highland Towers, and then next we went to a rich area. So again, we cannot name the area because it's a rich man area. It's very sensitive. But I did drive there's one part of this rich man area, like one road. There are many abandoned buildings, and there was only one building that there's still people staying. And coincidentally, another haunted property someone just bought over, like sold. I was quite amazed that this road, it was like, it's a very haunted place. So there's haunted house number 4 and haunted house number 5. All right, and I'll let John share first. You remember haunted house number 4, right?
Yeah, I think I would share both of them because okay, as you brought in, right, you also bring up okay the issue of portals. And when we go into the haunted house number 4, unless you have us feel whether they got portals or not, yeah, I'm still not that sensitive enough, okay, to detect. But then, okay, but later on when we go to the haunted house number 5, you have us, okay, to feel the contrast because the first one, the number 4 one, don't have the portals, and Adrian, okay, clear the space, and then I didn't feel anything coming in again. But when you brought us to the haunted house number 5, there is a portal there. And when you clear it, I can feel the surging sensation, like things are coming back. Because at that time, when you cleanse it, you didn't cleanse the portal. Yeah. So and you also mentioned the haunted house number 5, they are much more stronger sinister being because there is a fallen angel there. It's like yeah, being amidst the leader amidst of the pack, and that's where amidst you help us also be more prepared, okay, in order okay, to deal with it. I wouldn't say deal with it, but just to protect ourselves from there. I didn't feel that fallen angel, but I do feel a lot of this from the surging energy from the portal. Yeah.
All right, Adrian. Okay, by the way, just to put into context for you guys, haunted house number 4 and number 5, they are next to each other. All right, they're actually right next to each other, like neighboring mansions. Okay, and really huge. Haunted house number 4, we could walk inside. Okay, we could enter and walk amongst the building. Haunted house number 5, we couldn't walk inside. Okay, Adrian.
Yeah, so haunted house number 4 was it was quite something. I mean, it was an abandoned house, obviously all the windows are broken, and there's graffiti in the walls, stuff like that. But it was once an amazingly grand house. I mean, it was huge. It was something like out of the movie Scarface, with like grand like staircases that lead up to the second floor and things like that.
And there was a lift inside.
That was yeah, a lift, an elevator, it's just like crazy. For me, again, it was the contrast between feeling the energies of the occupants, the original occupants, I believe. I could just feel a very strong sense of satisfaction and of like happiness. Like people who lived there, I don't know when it might have been, it might have been like, somehow I want to say it was like, their heyday was probably in the 70s and 80s, but I could just feel that they really enjoy living there. but there were entities as well, and you could feel them. But it wasn't until, again, once I lowered my frequency to match them, that they just kind of took form and became a lot clearer. I didn't see them with my physical eyes, but I was very aware of one entity that was just flying about and just like in front of me, just like zipping about like the Flash, you know. It's like that was pretty wild. That really stood out to me for that place.
All right, and what was it like for you to cleanse the place?
It was pretty straightforward, quite frank. I mean, the worst thing about the house was the mosquitoes.
Yeah.
A lot of mosquitoes.
All right, and it was at haunted house number 4 that I pointed out to them, you know, to see whether they can try to sense for portals, because haunted house number 5 will have. And how was your experience at? Do you remember your experience and what I was trying to demo at haunted house number 5, Adrian?
Yeah, that was something else. That was quite an amazing performance that you put on, actually. Unfortunately, we couldn't get into the house, like Ken said, so we had to satisfy ourselves, you know, just being outside and projecting our energies in there to read what was going on. My readings weren't very accurate in the beginning, you know, because of what John said. There was a higher dimensional entity there that, you know, which in my experience always creates like illusions. There's a lot of deception. So at first I was like, I'm not sure. I know there's a whole smorgasbord of entities, low dimensional, high dimensional, but I don't know exactly what they are. And then did this thing where he made himself visible to the entities, and then the attack was very clear. I mean, you could really feel that. Then he disappeared, Ket disappeared, and then the entities were like, what? The attack stopped, and it was just like, where did he go? You know, the kind of thing. Then he cleansed them without removing the portal. The energies changed once again, you know, they were gone. Then a minute or two later, boom, they started coming back. And he got rid of them again, and this time he cleared the portal. It was quite an experience, I have to say. That was pretty amazing.
All right, so let me explain to the others who don't know what's going on. So I was demonstrating the high vibration thing again. So what I did was so we were all in high vibrations, and obviously they couldn't sense us. And what I did is I told everyone who's at the field trip, you guys just stand aside, you stay in your high vibration, all right, and you all watch what happens to me when I lower my vibration. So what I did is I lowered my vibration, and so we were outside, we were standing outside haunted house 5, right? But we could see into the building. I was standing on an elevated position so I can see inside. I projected my energy body to go in, and I stirred the hornet's nest, right? I kind of like poke around and make the ghost mad with me, and then I came back into my body, where you know, everyone is just standing around me, but they're in high vibration. So the ghosts and everything, they cannot sense everyone else, but they could sense me. Now that was a demonstration. So I lower my vibrations, and what I was trying to demonstrate, I think John and Adrian forgot, is the power of the light aura to protect. So I was no longer in high vibration. I was just staying with my normal aura, and they could feel the ghosts were trying to attack me. But what I was trying to share with them also is like, look, you all probably can sense the ghost is trying to attack me, but I myself, to me, because I was surrounded by my strong light, I don't feel any of the attacks at all. But for them, they could really sense it, right? Adrian, you could sense the intensity of the attacks. You got to say that because the camera is not on you. You got to speak some words.
Yeah, it was. You could feel the aggression. It was like the buffeting, but it was it was like a force field that they were banging against, you know. It was like it kind of, but you could feel. I mean, you could feel their ferocity, their anger, their hatred, and just you know, just
Right. So
feel it.
yeah, so basically it's like our light aura. I always try to tell people why we do light meditation. We want to strengthen this light aura. And even if you're not of high vibration, your light aura will protect you from all this entity stuff. And they were just trying to attack, and I was just sitting down, I was just standing there, and I was just telling them, just watch, what can they do to me? They're not touching me at all. All right, but they can feel the attacks coming by, and okay, I remove all of them. All the entities that haunted house number 5 is a mansion, by the way, a huge mansion, really big house. Imagine a really big house with big grounds. Remove all of it, but I left the portal there. So I was trying to demonstrate, to everyone, like, look, a lot of people don't know how to detect portals, but this is one of the ways. If you can remove all the entities there, then everything will be quiet. But if the portal is left there, they will, then new entities will come out from the portal because they will know something is wrong. They will know something has happened to their friends at haunted house number 5. Because suddenly it's all silent. There's no paranormal activity anymore. And maybe after a minute or two, suddenly, right? Like Adrian, what was your sense of it when they came back?
You mean when they came back out of the portal?
Yes.
You can just sense them like streaming in, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John, what was your experience?
For me, I felt a surge. So a surge, like, because like when you first clear, there was a lull. I think it's like for 1-2 minutes. Then I can feel a surge of energy coming towards us.
Yes. So and then so I can't remember when I did it, but I showed them low vibration, high vibration, and when I disappeared into high vibration. So Adrian used the term disappeared. Basically, I didn't disappear. I just raised my vibration. So one of the methods of raising vibration is doing our non-attachment meditation, right? And of course, being a good person. Being a good person helps with our strong light energy and high vibrations. So if you really work on that, you can really raise your vibrations. So what I did, I raised my vibration, and they attacked me, and suddenly I disappeared, and they're like, I think Adrian could sense the confusion.
Yeah. It was quite funny. Yeah, I mean, it's like you were playing with them. That's hilarious.
All right, so yes, and I'm physically there. Okay, just to let everyone know, I didn't disappear physically. Physically, I was there, but I just raised my energy vibrations to very high, and to the ghost is I disappeared. But I'm not doing this to play with the ghost. I was just doing this to demonstrate all these effects so that the people who were out there on the field trip, they could experience it as a spectator. Because if you experience as a person, we at haunted house number at number 3, they did it, but they didn't know what it's like to see the ghost attacking a person and what it's like. So it's different. So I did that, and of course after that I just cleared the whole place, including the portal. But I expect that the portal will be up, and this is just to demonstrate, like, this one for people who have abilities to remove spirits, but you don't have ability to deal with portal. It's very difficult to deal with a portal. And the portal comes with the portal maker. The portal maker is something that's very, very powerful normally. So actually, I had to deal with the portal and the portal maker. And even you deal with portal without dealing with the portal maker, is actually very dangerous. So portal is a very huge leap in ability is required to deal with a portal. So a lot of people can deal with evil spirits, and I think Adrian has been with me to enough cases, and he noted, there are a lot of cases whereby entities open up portals at people's homes. And when they do that, it's actually very difficult for Ghostbusters, exorcists to deal when there's a portal there, based on what we shared here. Because if you remove all the entities there and you don't remove the portal, they will just search again and they'll come forward again, and it comes from whatever hell the portal links to, and it's like there's no end. So a typical normal exorcist or priest is normally, I think it will be, will not be a match for a portal and all the entities in the hell that it opens up to. So it's really, when there's a place you have a portal, for most people, it's really very high level of difficulty to deal with. That was just to demonstrate to them. And after that, we had dinner and we went to Hindu temple too. All right. So, and maybe I can get John to share first again.
So Hindu temple too, there's a few area we visit. One of is like it's like there's a temple, and then there's a temple where people can do the prayers and people that line up, and you have us observe how the priest is doing it, and just observe the chanting. You also have us to assess the priest, the chakras, and what happened is that I think you also mentioned about feeling whether are they connected to the light or not. So they do the chant. The chant has the power, but it's like they haven't reached to the top. So that's one aspect. And then we went to another area where there's another group of priests helping the visitors. And you have us also observe them. And I have that kind of feeling, that they have the light energy, but it's not sustainable, because it feels that they're just doing it out of routine. So yeah, and that's where after a while, that the light seems to what diminish.
All right, thank you, Adrian.
Yeah, this one was also a very interesting destination. There were a number of experiences that I had there that were really important. It was the first time that I was able to observe several priests, like one after another or even concurrently, and to observe, like John said, their chakras and their connection. And as I did so, I was able to get more information as well. Like one of the priests actually was his energies were not very good. Let's just put it that way. And then there was another guy. There was actually a young guy who was, I could tell his faith. I could feel that his faith was really strong. And also, Ket wanted us to observe them during the pujas when they were chanting mantras, and to observe the connection and to observe how the connections kind of just faded after they were done with the puja. So it's just interesting to watch the sort of the contrast in real time. Then also there was a number of other experiences with one of the idols of the deity, and the different mantras and the different effects that we felt from the mantras. And it was actually a little bit confusing because there was one mantra where it was very uncomfortable to feel, extremely uncomfortable. I mean, I had to walk away because it was warlike. It was just straight up warlike. That was the energy, but as it turned out, it wasn't as it seemed. But maybe Ket should explain that.
All right. So at this location, so each location I try to bring some new learning for people who are going. So at this location, one of the things is because it's prayer time, and for those people who understand the way Hindu temples work, the priests are the ones who do the prayer to the deities, the divine, and they will bring out the prayer, the blessings from the prayer room, and the priest will pass the blessings to the people who queue up. All right. Now, I had I had the participants observe the priest because there's something to learn. Okay. Now, the first thing is depends how you interpret it. Now, the first thing is the power of mantras. So when the priest chant, right, the power of mantras, it can help people connect to light. So and the Hindu tradition is they chant really loud. Correct. They chant it loud, and those people who know me, I like to tell people when you chant your mantras, it's good to chant it, you to vocalize it. All right. Don't chant it silently in your heart. In general, is always more effective when you chant it out. Okay, vocalize it. So the Hindu priest will chant, and it will strengthen their light. It will strengthen their chakras, and it will help them connect to heaven, connect to light. Okay. So I wanted them to experience that, to 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 like a real time to see that when they chant, they get stronger in light and they can connect. And even if their faith is not as strong, right, they can connect. And because their faith is not that strong, they cannot hold it very well. And it comes back down. Their connection to light will dissipate. All right, and then until the next prayer, and then they chant, and then they connect again. So chanting of mantras work in that sense. And before we left, I was trying to demonstrate the effect of mantras on. So there was a deity, a divine there, and associated with the deity is two mantras. All right, and I chanted the mantra to get them to sense the difference. Now, the first mantra is quite both are well known mantras, and John and Adrian they're both energy sensitive, so both are actually of light. But the second one is a mantra that they didn't like because it felt warlike, but it is divine, and that is. So it seems a bit contrasting, but I was trying to explain to them, look, the deity or the divine, I cannot name names, is a protector, is a deity that fights demons. All right. So one mantra, the first mantra brings about the more calming side, links to more calming side of the divine and everything. The second mantra is linked to the fighting aspect of the divine, whereby he goes after demons. So the energies are actually of light, but it represents the side whereby the divine have to fight demons. So it's not a pleasant. It doesn't feel as harmonious and pleasant. All right, and after that, so basically after that we end, but we didn't just end like that. Just to share with everyone. So everyone had to come back home to my place, spend another hour there to meditate, to cleanse, and I have to check everyone to make sure nobody is bringing back any attachments back home to be safe. All right. So this to share with everyone. The protocols are very strict, and to share with you all, when everyone went there, I had everyone bring blessed items of protection. All right, everyone were carrying blessed items of protection to make sure that they don't get affected, even though they are kind of very strong kind of entities there. So can I just ask John and Adrian, between the haunted houses and the tainted temples, which do you think were worse in your experience? John?
Oh, mine is very easy. The Buddhist temple. Because the Buddhist temple, I have difficulty entering the premise. The earlier, the second one. Yeah, the second one.
All right, Adrian?
Yeah, I would say the same. It was the temples. It's just because of the deception that goes on. It was just a lot more sinister. I mean, the haunted houses, apart from the very last one which you handled, the rest of it was like it's no big deal. I mean, I used to live in a haunted house, so it's like I know what it's like. Yeah.
All right. So But to reassure everyone who's watching this, all right, and whether on replay or live, first of all, please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying temples are all bad or Buddhist temples are all bad. Please don't get me wrong. I'm just sharing with you all that some things are not what they seem, and at temples things can be worse than at a very, very serious, very famous haunted houses. Okay, and I'm going to round things up in case you all have some questions and everything. Now, so not all temples are of light. Okay, this is something that I think everyone is learning here, and if they are not of light, it can get very severe because there are dark entities there, and people who are praying are feeding these entities and giving them power. So the situation can actually get more severe than at the haunted house, whereby people are not going there to feed. You get what I mean? People are not going there to feed the entities at haunted houses because people stay away from haunted houses. But if entities, they manage to trick people, they manage to to contaminate or paint a temple, and people pray there, because people are praying, they can feed off energy of people who are asking, making requests, and so on. So this is something that not many people are aware of. Now, the main question is going to be, I think, for most people when they hear this is, so what can you do? Right? What can you do as a layman? How do you know whether a temple is tainted or not? Now, it's probably not easy for people who are not trained or who are not energy sensitive to know. But you have one thing, all right? And see, we went to temples now. Temples in general, at least in Malaysia, all right, you generally have Buddhist temples and Taoist temple or Hindu temple. Now, all these temples typically for these religions, if you pray to a particular divine, for these religions, each divine is supposed to have its own mantra, its own prayer. So I always try to advise people this: whenever you pray, you should try to use the prayer or the mantra associated with the divine or the deity. And in doing so, you should try to be very specific that you're not praying to the idol. You're praying to the deity which responds to the mantra that you just chanted. Because you're chanting the mantra to call upon the presence or to invoke the presence of the particular deity or divine. And you are only going to pray to the divine whose presence is being called upon or invoked by the mantra that you chant. This is a very important way to protect yourself when you pray. Wherever you pray, whether it's at temples or even at home, I try to tell people, if you're into religion, you should use the prayers or the mantras associated. You don't just pray to a form just because the physical form looks like the historical figure or the divine, but you don't know in terms of energetically whether is it true. So please make sure, okay, if one thing you need to learn, please use your mantras. All right, use mantras or prayers of the particular divine. All right, this is something very important. Now, what else can you all take away from this? So the other thing that you all need to take away from this is these 2 points: strong light energy and high vibration. All right, so strong light energy is basically strong light aura, and we have a very simple method that we teach every month. I teach every month, live class, free online, right? We call it light meditation, and through light meditation you strengthen your aura, and when your light energy is strong from simple practice of light meditation, you have nothing to worry about in terms of evil spirits at all. And that was just what I was trying to demonstrate to the people who followed me on the field trip. Now, the next thing is high vibrations. So high vibration is to take the light energy to a next level. All right, and for that we actually have a non-attachment meditation. All right, maybe I should write it up here. Okay, so we have non-attachment meditation. So besides light meditation, we have non-attachment meditation. And it's not just about non-attachment meditation, all right? It's about the non-attachment philosophy, all right, how to put non-attachment into practice in life. If you're able to do that, it's very easy to reach high vibrations. And high vibrations is even more powerful or effective because you are literally, you can be literally invisible to the entities, all right? And I actually have one whole spiritual questions answered video done on how to raise your vibrations. But the short answer is, we have a very simple practice, non-attachment. And both these two, to have strong light and high vibration, is strengthened as long as you are a good person. All right, as long as we are good people, we can have strong light energy and high vibrations. Just try to be very genuinely, sincerely good and not have too much attachments, right? Let go of attachments and be genuinely, sincerely nice and good person. Okay, so wow, we've really overshot, but I think it's a very interesting topic. Any last minute questions from the audience before we call it a night, a day? Yes, Cora, feel free to ask.
Thanks so much for sharing, you guys. I really appreciate it. Kat, I was wondering if it's possible to read the energy of a place to a photo.
Yeah. We do that all the time. We do remote cases. So we cleanse people remotely, all the way in US, India, China, Europe, UK. I do international cases, read energy, cleansing people, everything. No problem.
Okay, I will reach out to you separately then.
Right. All right. It's no problem. It's piece of cake. Okay. Any
Okay.
other? No. All right. If no, I hope everyone. Okay, Helen. Helen says, so ghosts can see our prana aura, even though it is high vibration. No, so actually, Helen says, so ghosts can see our prana aura, even though it's high vibration in brackets to begin with. No, actually, they cannot really. Okay, firstly, so a lot of people will ask this question. They don't quite know how it works. Now, firstly, okay, this is us, and we're supposed to have a light in our heart, a pure light of goodness that will generate our aura. All right. So in light meditation, we teach people how to activate this pure light of goodness to generate an aura around us. So the aura is surrounding our body is quite big. It's meant to be quite big. Okay. Now, so what I did in the demo was I stirred up the hornet's nest, right? And then I lower my vibrations and all the ghosts, all right? These are all ghosts, right? Right. All the ghosts here. They were surrounding me and they were trying to attack me, all right? But even though my vibrations were low, so when I say low vibration, so you can have strong light. Now, you have strong light at low vibration and have strong light at high vibration. So before you can take your strong light to high vibration, you start off with first of all having a strong light first. So you'll be strong light at low vibration. I'm just demonstrating a low level light at low vibration. Even the ghosts, they were all surrounding. Of course, they were way much more, and they cannot get past me. So I think Adrian was describing, they can feel the ferocity, the anger, and everything because I purposely made them angry. All right, made them angry. I go and stir up, hey, I'm here, nye, 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 nye. And then I came back down to right in front of everyone, and the rest stay in high vibration. The ghosts just surrounding me, but they cannot get me at all. Cannot. Okay, this to demonstrate strong light at low level, at low vibration, is a very good protection to begin with. And to take it to the next level, I just vibrate, let my prana go into high vibration. And this is only possible if you practice non-attachment and you're really a good person and you take your values, a good person as in your values are really good, genuinely good. Because if you don't deal with your negativity, you don't let go of your negativity, you don't let go of your anger, your your unforgiveness, your hatred, and if you hold on to a lot of, you don't forgive people, you cannot do this. So you have to be able to let go. That's the practice of non-attachment and everything. Okay, you have to let go, and when you vibrate higher, allow your energy to go and reach the higher levels, and suddenly to the ghost, I'm not there anymore. And those who are present, who have the ability, they will sense it's all confusion. Because where did the guy go? Where did the guy go? Previously this guy was there and his light is bright and just shining, right? And they cannot touch me, and suddenly I'm gone, right? I raised my vibration and I disappeared, and they're like, oh, what happened? What happened? And then I reappeared and I dealt with them. So to answer Hannah's question is, so they can see, all right? They can see our physical body, but when our physical body is being surrounded by high vibration light, they can't see. It's as if we are in the same space, same location. I'm in the same space. I didn't move. I just raised my vibrations, and to the ghost, I'm not there. And Adrian and John, they're just right next to me. They're just like 2 or 3 meters away from me, and they're staying in high vibration, and they can't detect them at all because they stay in high vibration. And I just did this demo so that you could see what it's like to see, ghosts attacking a person at low vibration and high vibration, but with light protection. All right, Coral, you have a question?
Yes, so I was thinking also, if you cleanse the space of the negative energy, but now that space is empty, yeah, how do you make sure, like, I mean, you have to fill up that empty space now with like pure energies of good, of goodness and of light, and how to like, maintain that from far away, I suppose.
All right, good question. So of course I did all the demonstration to remove, Adrian and I, we remove all the ghosts and evil spirits from the locations. The next question is, if it's a place, somebody's home, how can we ensure that there are no more ghosts and evil spirits can enter? Now there are a few ways that we do it. Now let's say if it's a house whereby people live, the basic thing is, if a house can actually be haunted and people are actually affected, I tell you, the first thing is, if a person lives in a haunted house, they will not have the light. The light is no longer there, or it has been depleted, it's been attacked until it's gone, or until it's very weak. It's either gone or it's very weak and it's just, maybe offering very cursory protection only. And that's why these people will be haunted if they're living in a house with a lot of ghosts and evil spirits. Now, so the standard thing is, when I and Adrian will know, all right, if you're following me, what we do is we go to a place. First thing we do is we remove all the evil spirits, right? After we remove all the evil spirits, we will heal all the people in the house. We have to heal the occupants in the house, to heal their lights to be strong. Now, as long as the house remain occupied, right, and there are people whose lights are strong, the evil spirits will not enter. That's why, most haunted places, they are abandoned places, right? No humans are living in it. That humans with light, this light will protect people, and it's kind of push the evil spirits can't enter, because the light will push the ghosts and evil spirits away. So the first thing is, normally in a case whereby we do for people who are a house where people are living there, we have to cleanse the house, remove all the evil spirits. We have to make sure everyone's light is strong. So that's one way to protect the place. Now the second, the next thing that we normally do, which is the cheapest option to protect a place, is to invoke divine presence. All right, we can invoke divine presence. So depending, we can do it for all religion, doesn't matter. So the main religions, they're all of light, so we can invoke divine presence. I don't have the time to go through this, but I have another video that I've done about invoking divine presence. It's under our YouTube channel, right? Look for the playlist Spiritual Questions Answered, and there'll be a video there, invoke divine presence, or you try to search in YouTube, invoke divine presence CordyKet, all right, and you might find the video. So normally we invoke a divine presence according to the religion of preference of the occupants to protect the house. That's one way to protect the house. Okay. Some people they are totally anti-religion. There's no religion that they like. Then you can have the option of sealing the house, but it's a much more costly option because we will have to use a lot of energy to seal the house. All right, and it's to seal the house properly, it need higher level energies and higher level ability to seal. And even then, it's also no matter what kind of protection you do, it cannot last forever. All right, so normally what we tell people is it's important for people to try and learn some methods to strengthen their own energies, and we teach that at CordyKet, right? Our Unity Qigong, our light meditation, non-attachment meditation helps that. Okay, so Coral asks, is it possible for someone to be haunted by a living person, someone who is void of light or is possessed? Yes. So for some people, they are possessed or they have a lot of entity attachments, and they can affect people around them. And usually these people are the energy sensitives, right? And this is one of the reasons why empaths, energy sensitives, they tend to attract more evil spirits, sinister beings, and then and then they will go on to affect other people. Usually that's the case. And I did a video on that too, right? Something about empaths and energy sensitives. Again, the recording is there. You can, if you have the time, go and look it up. Okay. All right. Oh, wow, we really overshot this time. Any last minute questions? None? Yes, Helen is saying super fascinating field trip. Yes, it is, and I thought that the lessons is good for, to share with everyone. But it's not something that people who are untrained can appreciate. But if you are untrained, you follow me on the field trip, you won't get as much. You can't get all this stuff. But I think it's good for people who are trained to share with you all, so that you all are not just hearing from me, because I think. I don't know. I've done over 30 videos, and it's all just me, cat, right? And now you get to hear a little bit from the Inheanity practitioners. Okay, so yes, like Helen says, express training. Yeah, this is I think field trips. This is real life training, real life experience. Is something that is much more interesting. Okay, if not, thank you everyone for joining us tonight and for staying back. Wow, we really overshot, but I think it's very interesting. And good night or good day to everyone. If you feel you've benefited, please do consider making a donation. How to do so will be in the groups. All right. Thank you. Have a good day, good night. Goodbye.